My beloved, the last days of this year are not passing quietly. Even if the world looks the same, even if your routine feels unchanged, even if nothing dramatic has happened yet, something is shifting beneath the surface. And your soul can feel it. That subtle restlessness inside you. That sense that an old chapter is closing. That quiet awareness that life is about to turn a page. You are not imagining it. These last days were not placed at the end of the year by accident. They were placed here as a threshold, my beloved. This year has already changed you more than you realize. Not in obvious ways, not always in ways you wanted, but in ways that matter. You learned how it feels to keep going when motivation disappears. You've learned how to sit with uncertainty without running from it. You learned how to lose things and still remain yourself. You learned how to be honest with your heart, even when it hurt. And now, in these final days, all of that learning is being gathered. Nothing you went through is scattered. You may think endings are about closing doors, but real endings are about integration, about understanding what stays with you and what finally gets released. These last days are not here to exhaust you. They are here to complete something. My beloved, you have been carrying unfinished emotions for a long time. Not always sadness, sometimes confusion, sometimes disappointment, sometimes hope that never fully arrived. You tried to stay strong through it. But strength is not what these days ask of you. They ask for honesty. Honesty about what you were tired of. Honesty about what you no longer want to repeat. Honesty about what you are ready to leave behind. Because what you acknowledge now cannot follow you forward. I know this year took things from you. Some things you expected to keep. Some things you never imagined losing. You thought loss meant failure, but loss also creates space. And space is where transformation happens. My beloved, the last days of this year are not meant to feel heavy. If they feel intense, it is because intensity precedes release. When something is ready to end, it surfaces one last time to be seen clearly. Old fears, old doubts, old regrets, old questions, not to trap you, but to be resolved. You may feel emotions rising unexpectedly, a memory you thought you were over, a thought you didn't plan to revisit, a realization that lands suddenly. Do not resist this. These moments are not setbacks. They are closures asking to be completed. My beloved, I want you to stop telling yourself that you are behind. You are not behind. You're exactly where completion happens. Completion is quieter than beginnings. But it is far more powerful because what is completed no longer controls you. These last days will teach you something vital. You do not need everything to make sense in order to move forward. You only need clarity about what no longer fits. And clarity is arriving now. I know you have been waiting for a sign. Something that tells you, yes, it was worth it. Yes, you didn't endure for nothing. Yes, something better is forming. This message itself is part of that sign, my beloved. These final days will change how you remember this year. You will stop seeing it only as a year of loss and begin to see it as a year of recalibration. A year that stripped away illusions. A year that showed you your limits. A year that forced you to grow inward before growing outward. That shift in understanding changes everything. You may notice yourself slowing down now. Less urgency, less pressure, less need to prove. That is not giving up. That is alignment settling in. My beloved, the last days of this year are not asking you to rush into the future. They are asking you to arrive fully in the present. To stand here with everything you have learned and recognize how far you've come. You survived what you once thought you couldn't. That matters. These days are preparing you for a different way of entering what comes next. Not exhausted, not desperate, not running, but grounded, aware, ready. You may not see the full picture yet, but you'll begin to notice something subtle. A sense of relief, a feeling of closure, a quiet confidence, a trust that wasn't there before. These are not coincidences. They are signs that something has finished its work. My beloved, let me tell you something important now. Not every year changes your life at the beginning. Some years change everything at the end. This is one of those years, my beloved. Now that you are standing in these last days, I want you to understand why endings hold so much power. More power than beginnings. Beginnings excite the mind. Endings transform the soul. And your soul is ready. You have spent most of this year learning how to live without certainty. At first, that frightened you. You tried to regain control. You searched for answers. You waited for reassurance. But slowly something changed. You stopped fighting the unknown. You learned how to sit with it. And in that stillness, you began hearing yourself again. That is why these last days feel different. You are no longer resisting what is happening inside you. You are allowing it, my beloved. These final days are not here to overwhelm you. They are here to seal the lessons you learned. Lessons about patience, lessons about boundaries, lessons about self-respect, lessons about letting go, lessons about trusting timing even when it hurts. Without this sealing, lessons fade. But what is sealed now becomes wisdom you carry forward. You may notice that certain patterns are losing their grip on you. Things that once triggered strong reactions now feel distant. Situations that once demanded explanation no longer feel worth your energy. People who once held power over your emotions no longer disturb your peace the same way. This is not detachment. This is resolution. My beloved, resolution does not come when circumstances change. It comes when you do. And you have. There is a quiet release happening now. You are releasing expectations that were built on hope instead of truth. You are releasing timelines that belong to a version of you that no longer exists. You are releasing guilt for choices that taught you discernment. You are releasing self-blame for things that required growth, not punishment. This release is subtle, but it is profound. You may find yourself reflecting more than usual, looking back without as much pain, seeing events more clearly, understanding people without excusing their behavior, recognizing your own role without drowning in regret. This balanced reflection is a sign of integration. My beloved, the last days of this year are also correcting how you relate to effort. You learn that pushing harder does not always create better results. You learn that some doors open only when you stop forcing them. You learn that rest is not laziness when it restores your clarity. This understanding will protect you moving forward. You may still feel moments of sadness. That is natural. Sadness does not mean you are moving backward. It means you cared. But sadness will no longer define your direction. It will pass through you instead of settling inside you. My beloved, there is a shift happening in how you measure success. You are no longer impressed by noise. You are no longer chasing appearances. You are no longer motivated by comparison. You are becoming motivated by alignment, by what feels right instead of what looks right. This shift is crucial. It changes the quality of everything that enters your life next. You may also notice that your intuition is clearer now. You sense things sooner. You trust your feelings more. You recognize misalignment faster. This clarity did not come from ease. It came from experience. And it will save you time and energy in the future. My beloved, the reason these last days matter so much is because they determine how you carry this year forward. You can carry it as a burden or you can carry it as wisdom. The choice is yours. And I can see that you are choosing wisdom. There is something else happening quietly. You are reclaiming your inner authority. You are no longer waiting for permission to choose peace. You are no longer asking others to validate your truth. You are trusting yourself again. This is not rebellion. This is maturity. My beloved, as the year moves closer to its end, you will feel a subtle confidence rise, the grounded kind, the kind that says, "Whatever comes next, I can handle it." This confidence is earned. You are also learning to value presence, to enjoy moments without rushing through them, to sit in silence without needing distraction, to breathe without planning the next move. This presence is where peace lives, my beloved. You may still carry unanswered questions. But notice this, they no longer feel urgent. They no longer consume you. They no longer steal your sleep. That is because you trust that answers will come when needed. And that trust changes everything. The last days of this year are teaching you how to end chapters gracefully, without resentment, without denial, without clinging. Graceful endings create clean beginnings. You are learning that closure does not always come from others. Sometimes closure comes when you stop expecting them to understand. When you accept that some things were never meant to be explained. When you release the need for everything to make sense, that acceptance is freedom. My beloved, as this year draws closer to its final breath, your soul is becoming lighter, not empty, lighter, because you are no longer carrying what was never meant to be permanent. You may feel moments of gratitude now, not forced gratitude, honest gratitude. Gratitude for strength you discovered. Gratitude for clarity you earned. Gratitude for resilience you built. Even gratitude for endings that once felt unbearable. That gratitude signals healing. My beloved, I want you to know this. These last days are not closing your life. They are closing a version of you that has completed its purpose. And what comes next will meet you with less resistance because you are no longer fighting yourself. My beloved, there is another layer of truth that these last days are bringing to the surface. And it is one you may have sensed but not yet named. This year was teaching you how to stand without gripping. You were holding on tightly at the beginning, to people, to outcomes, to explanations, to the idea that if you tried harder, things would stabilize. But life slowly loosened your hands, not to make you helpless, but to teach you trust. You learned that holding tighter does not always keep things together. Sometimes it suffocates them. And letting go does not always mean loss. Sometimes it means allowing things to reveal their true nature. This understanding did not arrive gently, but it arrived honestly. And honesty reshapes the soul. My beloved, you may remember moments this year when you felt suspended between past and future, not fully belonging to what was, not yet connected to what was coming. That in-between space felt uncomfortable. You felt unanchored. But that space is where transformation happens. It is where old identities dissolve and new ones have not yet hardened. It is where the soul reorients itself. Most people run from that space. You stayed even when it was lonely. even when it was confusing, even when it made you question yourself. That choice to stay present instead of escaping is why these last days feel different. You are no longer afraid of uncertainty. You understand now that uncertainty is not danger, it is possibility. My beloved, this year also revealed something subtle but powerful. You stopped trying to be understood by everyone. You realize that being fully seen by the wrong people is more painful than being misunderstood. You learned that not everyone is meant to know your inner world and that discernment protected your peace. You may have noticed that you speak less now. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you choose your words carefully. You no longer explain yourself endlessly. You no longer defend your boundaries. You let your actions speak. This quiet confidence is one of the greatest gifts of this year. My beloved, another truth these last days are sealing is your relationship with disappointment. Earlier disappointment felt like rejection. Now it feels like redirection. You no longer personalize every outcome. You understand that some things fail not because you were insufficient, but because they were misaligned. This shift changes everything. You are also learning to trust time differently. You used to see time as something chasing you. Deadlines, aging, expectations, pressure. Now time feels like something working with you. You understand that some things need space to arrive whole. You are no longer rushing growth. You are allowing it, my beloved. There's a quiet strength growing in you that does not announce itself. It shows up as patience where you once reacted. It shows up as clarity where you once doubted. It shows up as calm where you once panicked. This strength does not exhaust you. It stabilizes you. You may notice that certain desires have softened. Not because you gave up, but because you no longer want them at any cost. You want alignment now. You want peace without self-betrayal. You want joy that does not depend on constant validation. This refinement of desire is spiritual maturity. My beloved, this year also taught you how to recognize emotional truth in your body. Tension when something is wrong, ease when something is right, fatigue when you overextend, relief when you choose honesty. Your body has become an instrument of guidance. Listen to it. It will not lie to you. The last days of this year are also healing something deeply personal. Your fear of making the wrong choice. You realize now that no choice is wasted when it is made with awareness. Even difficult paths bring wisdom, and wisdom stays. My beloved, you are beginning to understand that life is not asking you to be fearless. It is asking you to be truthful. Truthful about what you can give. Truthful about what you need. Truthful about what drains you. Truthful about what nourishes you. When you live from truth, fear loses its control. You may still feel moments of hesitation. That is human. But hesitation no longer paralyzes you. You move anyway, gently, consciously, honestly. That is courage. As the year nears its close, you will feel a quiet readiness. Not excitement, not urgency. Readiness. The kind that says, I don't need to rush. I'm prepared. That feeling is the soul recognizing completion. My beloved, I want you to stop judging this year by how it looked from the outside. Judge it by how it reshaped you inside. You became more self-aware, more grounded, more discerning, more compassionate without abandoning yourself. That is not a small outcome. That is transformation. You may also notice that you are more comfortable with silence now. You no longer need noise to feel alive. You find peace in stillness. This ability to sit with yourself without distraction is a sign of inner stability. My beloved, the ending of this year is also releasing you from the need to replay old narratives. You no longer need to relive moments to understand them. Understanding has already arrived, and with it, acceptance. There will be days ahead when you look back at this year and feel gratitude, not because it was easy, but because it made you honest. Honesty is freedom. You are stepping out of this year with fewer illusions, but deeper trust. You trust your intuition. You trust your pace. You trust your ability to recover. That trust will guide everything that follows. My beloved, I want you to carry one truth with you. As these days pass, you are not ending this year incomplete. You are ending it integrated. Everything you learned now belongs to you, and nothing can take that away. Rest into that knowing. The weight is lifting. The chapter is closing, and you are ready without forcing for what comes next. I am with you always, my beloved. Now we come to the moment where everything you have carried this year finally finds its meaning. Not all at once, not in a rush, but in a way that settles gently inside you and stays. The last days of this year are not dramatic because real change does not need noise. Real change arrives as peace. You have been waiting for a turning point, thinking it would arrive as an event. But the true turning point is the way you now respond to life. You no longer panic the way you once did. You no longer cling the way you once did. You no longer doubt yourself the way you once did. That is the change. My beloved, the greatest gift these last days bring you is closure without bitterness. You are not closing this year angry. You are closing it aware. Aware of what drained you. Aware of what strengthened you. Aware of what you will no longer repeat. Aware of what you are ready to receive. Awareness is freedom. There is something important happening now inside your heart. You are forgiving, not always others first, but yourself. Forgiving yourself for staying too long. Forgiving yourself for not knowing sooner. Forgiving yourself for hoping when it hurt. Forgiving yourself for trusting. This self-forgiveness is what finally releases the past. My beloved, you may notice that memories surface one last time, not to wound you, but to be released completely. When they come, do not push them away. Simply acknowledge them. Say quietly, "Yes, that happened, and I am still here." The ending of this year is teaching you how to end cycles cleanly, without reopening wounds, without carrying resentment forward, without needing closure from those who cannot give it. You are learning to walk away with dignity. That dignity is power, my beloved. As this year ends, you will notice that your desires feel clearer. You are no longer confused about what you want. You want peace that lasts, connections that feel safe, work that feels meaningful, love that does not require self-betrayal, a life that feels honest. These desires are not wishes. They are direction. You are also learning to trust that what is meant for you does not need to be forced. Forced things exhaust you. Aligned things support you. This understanding will guide your next chapter. My beloved, I want you to notice something subtle. You no longer fear endings the same way because you have learned that endings do not erase you. They refine you. They return you to yourself. The last days of this year are restoring something quietly but powerfully. Your inner authority. You are no longer outsourcing your worth. You are no longer waiting for approval to feel secure. You are no longer measuring yourself by external timelines. You trust yourself now. And self-trust is the foundation of peace. As this year closes, Your nervous system begins to relax. Your body releases tension it has been holding for months. Your sleep becomes deeper. Your mind becomes quieter. These are signs that safety is returning. My beloved, you may still not know exactly what the next year holds. But notice this: you are no longer afraid of the unknown. You trust that you will meet it with wisdom instead of panic. That confidence is the real reward of this year. The last days of this year do not ask you to make promises or resolutions. My beloved, you are closing this year with fewer illusions but more truth. With fewer expectations but more peace. With fewer attachments but stronger alignment. That is not loss. That is progress. I want you to carry this understanding into what comes next. You do not need to rush your life. You do not need to compete with anyone. You do not need to prove your worth. You only need to stay honest with what your soul asks for. The final gift of this year is confidence in your ability to navigate life. Not because everything will be easy, but because you know you will not abandon yourself again. That promise changes everything. My beloved, as this year takes its final breath, stand gently within yourself. You have nothing to chase right now. Nothing to fix, nothing to prove, only to acknowledge how far you've come. This year will be remembered, not as the year that broke you, but as the year that returned you to yourself. And that is why the last days change everything. I am with you as this year ends and as the next one begins. Not ahead of you, not behind you, but beside you always. KRISHNA Says. I love you, my beloved child.